Here we are, folks. British People's League. BritishPeoplesLeague.com at you this January 11th, 2013. January 11th. Does that name ring a bell? Even in the States, some can remember their president's birthday, depending which president. Well, we have one father of Confederation in this country. He's sitting here beside me. He's 199 years old today. He was born in Glasgow, Scotland. Sir John Alexander Macdonald, the father of Canada. Born in Glasgow, Scotland. He wasn't born in Pakistan. He wasn't born in China. He wasn't born in Israel. He wasn't born in Bangladesh. He was born in Glasgow, Scotland. Those of the middle-aged generation and older, of course, know of our British roots in Canada. Yes, we conquer by strength. Well, what nation hasn't been conquered by strength throughout history? No different in Canada. But we've got to appreciate John Alexander Macdonald, Sir John Alexander Macdonald. The lady on the wall to the left, usually you can see her picture, Queen Victoria, knighted Sir John for his value to the, back then, the British Empire. He's still the father of this country. Can you imagine, with the deep freeze we've just had in North America, just imagine back then, in the mid-1800s, trying to get a country together. So he comes over here as a wee youngster to Canada and gets settled down, goes through childhood, public school, and then at the young age of 21, he's called to the bar as a lawyer in Kingston, Ontario. And can you imagine all the traveling around when he started to build Confederation to get this country founded? Traveling around in the sub-zero temperatures in a horse-drawn cutter, they called them, wrapped in furs between, say, Kingston, his home base, and Toronto, where the legislature was set up before the capital was made in Ottawa, Canada. This man was a hero. We're not allowed to have heroes anymore, British Canadians. Oh, no. Even Winston Churchill from the motherland is ridiculed in the press all the time. Those of British stock must not have heroes throughout the world. It's almost as if it's a master plan, but I don't believe in conspiracies. But, you know, you'd wonder. I just put it down to liberalism, hates anything forthright, hates anything conservative. So John Alexander Macdonald created this country through great hardship and patience and tediousness. He had a sad family life. His wife was ill. And yet he persevered. Canada had to be founded in a hurry. Britain was supporting the Confederacy in the Southern Civil War in the South. Well, created by the North. The Civil War wasn't started by the South. Britain was supporting the Confederacy. And of course, Britain was British Canada. So there was great fear that when the Yankees won the war, that they were going to invade the North again. Now, once before they tried, in 1812, and British Canadians, along with our Indian allies, burned down the White House. But this time might not be so lucky. So Sir John back then realized we've got to get things rolling. So they had the Charlottetown Conference in the Maritimes with other fathers of Confederation. But of course, Sir John was the moving figure through it all. There was a big stink about Sir John having Louis Riel hung. Louis Riel, of course, led the rebellion in Saskatchewan, the Métis Rebellion, wanted to run his own show. That too helped Canada get founded indirectly because we had to get that railway going far enough at least to stop the rebellion, which she did successfully. Macdonald pulled the strings, they got the railway going. The troops arrested Louis Riel. Then you know, the smear artists try, well, he hung poor Louis Riel. Excuse me, Louis Riel was hung legal justification, Louis Riel ordered the murder of a Canadian citizen, Thomas Scott. Louis Riel ordered the murder of Canadian citizen Thomas Scott. Well, capital punishment back then, when there was some brain power left. We've got to bring back capital punishment one of these days, too. That's what the British People's League is lobbying for, of course. But in this historical event, Macdonald ordered the hanging of Louis Riel for murder. Capital punishment. That's the way it was. And, of course, the liberal media try and make a hero out of Louis Riel, a murderer. Just think about it. But you don't read that too often, do you? Of course not. We're not allowed to have our heroes. Well, just check. Wikipedia, to me, is a laugh. When they don't like someone, they can smear them. But in this case, Wikipedia have a lot of facts that are factual. I'm amazed. Give credit where credit due. So have a look under Wikipedia at Sir John Alexander Macdonald, Canada's founding father, assisting with the Fathers of Confederation forming the Dominion of Canada July 1st, 1867. And, of course, being a brilliant young man at 21, he was a lawyer, and then this, as I say, pulled by horse and cutter in the winter back and forth to the legislature between Toronto and Kingston's bases in sub-freezing weather. So he was tough. Some of us could only be half as tough. Now, speaking of Sir John, I almost have an indirect right to speak of Sir John. What I'm holding up to the screen now, and we'll see if we can get it clear, it's from the Archives of Canada, and it's talking about a letter Macdonald sent to John Beattie. Okay? A letter Macdonald sent to John Beattie, a political organizer. And it was to do with getting Confederation going. Spelled exactly the same way as mine is spelled. Beattie, etc. And this is in the Archives of Canada. Unbelievable. What a fluke. So in any case, well, of course, this same Beattie would have come from Aberdeenshire, Scotland, where all of my people came from. Although we weren't here as early as this John Beattie. My father came over from Aberdeenshire to Canada in the later 40s. But it's a little bit much. A letter from Sir John A. Macdonald is in the archives to John Beattie, a political organizer. I realize I held that up for a few moments, folks, but it's a little bit much. Got to play it up. I've automatically been of the nature of Macdonald most of my life, conservative. We need rules, of course. I'm not talking progressive conservative. I'm talking when we conserve our values, conserve our traditions, conserve our religious traditions, conserve our family traditions. That's what a true conservative is all about. Okay? I don't even want to talk about today's Conservative Party, except last year, I must admit, Harper made some good moves, bringing back the Royal Canadian Air Force, the Royal Canadian Navy, with those designations. The old traditions of Macdonald, on his statue at Queen's Park in Toronto Legislative Building, it still states clearly on the plaque, on Macdonald's plaque, quoting his own words, "A British subject I was born, a British subject I will die." A British subject I was born, a British subject I will die. Of course, if he saw Britain the way it is today and Canada the way it is today, he'd roll over in his grave, that is for sure. It's pretty hard to give some real pointers on the life of a man such as Macdonald, with such a lengthy, feisty career, an unbelievable career. I really recommend you have a look at Wikipedia. The work he did in the Parliament, etc. And then, of course, the smears. Well, he drinks too much. Well, you try zipping along at 40, 50 below zero weather in the middle of the freezing winter and see if you wouldn't like a little nip. But to go on like people do is just pathetic. Ignoring our heroes, the same with Winston Churchill. We're not allowed to have heroes. Well, we're keeping our heroes. Thank you very much. And when we do the videos starting mid-February daily, we're going to expand upon heroes in the different patriotic groups in the motherland, those of a British American hue, and here in Canada, how we're doing. The dinosaur news, as we're calling it, will be more focused on patriotic groups rather than news out there in the world out there. You can get, you get the hints of what's going on with the invasion that we're all facing in the Western world. You get the hints in the daily news media, but obviously not stupid when you can see the color of the majority of the crime promoters, etc. You'd have to be blind. I get it shoved at me, oh, well, white racist you are, blah, blah, blah. I said, look, it's politics. It's not the individual, okay? We're talking politics here. The bastard politicians letting people into this country that are swamping our culture, our history, our religion. I often put it to people who say, well, would you like to live at Jane and Wilson? It's a crime-ridden corridor, folks, with a certain color to it. In Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Would you like to live there? Oh, come on, John. There's good and bad and all. Well, excuse me. Show me a parallel neighborhood that commits the crimes that are committed out of Jane and Wilson. Oh, well, they're just poor. So if everybody that's poor and hard up went out and broke the law, we'd have a great country, wouldn't we? Well, it's getting that way anyway. Everybody's breaking the law, from the senators down to the lowly. British People's League is set up as a legal lobby force for those who want to do something about it. We're picking up the emails, folks. We're picking up the emails. Yes, indeed. I have to apologize to some people out there. You'll know who I mean on the Skype issue. I've just given up on Skype, folks. Especially come mid-February when I'll be yapping every day, 5 days a week in these videos. And talking on Skype is time-consuming. I mean, I hope I'm entitled to walk the dogs and have a bit of time off. My past 20-year career, I retired on December 20th, so I could be full-time for the British Canadian, for those of British roots around the globe, whether it's Australia, New Zealand, the motherland, or Canada. But this boy here, tops. Without him, we wouldn't have a Canada today. The strength, when all else was just nothing being done throughout history. It's this boy's personal opinion. Personalities are creative throughout history. It's the personality that gathers people around. Well, it's even the strong-willed personality that gathers people in boardrooms of corporations, isn't it? Clubs or what have you. There's always one key personality, and when that person retires or passes on, then another personality. But here we're talking about the founding of a massive country. Just imagine the work involved. He died June 6, 1891. Now, speaking of dates, I have an interesting story about this bust here. I haven't been able to approach real experienced antique dealers about this, because I'll never sell this item. It's been with my family for a long time. Now, this is the original. It was original bronze cast. Mold, is it called? Mold, yes, okay. The mold. Now, in Lindsay, Ontario Library, I was in there one day, and I spotted a double of this, but it was painted in a plain brown. Now, this had to be restored, and it's had to be repainted too, unfortunately. But at least the bust got saved. It fell off a ledge. Someone was cleaning and not taking care. In any case, this is the original bust. the original mold. The artists will know of what I'm trying to speak. Now, in 1890, Creighton's biography of Sir John A. Macdonald, Donald Creighton, University of Toronto professor back when, excellent biography, the best there is on Sir John A. Macdonald. Now, Creighton proved that Macdonald indeed was in Toronto, 4th of November. I'm trying to get the date here without smashing the bust again. 1890. See it down there in the corner. November 4th, 1890. 230 Queen Street West, Toronto. Okay, now, he was in Toronto at that time. I've traced his whereabouts through the biographies. So this is the genuine mold casting, whatever it's called. The Lindsay Library copy has nothing on the back. I got a step stool librarian, wondered what I was up to. So I want to look at the back of the bust you have there. And at the back of their bust, they have nothing. There's no inscriptions, nothing. So if anyone knows how to trace the history of this bust of Sir John A. Macdonald, would be terrific. Again, the sculptor by C. Zeroni. C, I guess short for whatever, C. Zeroni. Z-A-R-O-N-I. November 4th, was I saying the 3rd? November 4th, 1890. 230 Queen Street West, Toronto, Ontario. Be interesting to hear the details and give the Zeroni family credit. Some of the descendants of Zeroni who did this bust can be proud. So the disgust I can't explain, because we know very few of school children are taught much about Sir John A. Macdonald, the founder of Canada. Sir John wanted Canada to stay white. Sir John wanted Canada to stay white. Just as did Mackenzie King during the Second World War. He wanted Canada to stay white. So don't call John Beattie a racist. I'm following in the tradition of some great Canadians. Our culture, our heritage is here. Okay? And again, Sir John wasn't born in Pakistan, India, China, Israel. He was born in Glasgow, Scotland. Means something to those of us British Canadians. Okay? My buddies at Candor magazine, candor.org.uk, candour.org.uk, had asked me a long time ago to do a write-up for them on Sir John. I'm ashamed I haven't done it. I guess yapping is my forte. Writing, well, I have to write finish up the book finally in the coming year. Canada's Secret Civil War, 1978 onwards. You'll find out what kind of roots the British People's League had. There's a preview at the very, very bottom of the BritishPeoplesLeague.com homepage. The very, very bottom. That dinger is just another emailer checking in. People are expecting this video. I have to be honest, the first run I did today, it just didn't pick up properly. I probably punched the wrong button. But there you have it, folks. Sir John Alexander, 199th birthday today. That's our first video in the new year, and I hope you did have a happy new year. Our second video in a couple of weeks. So God bless each and every one of you, and thank you for tuning in. And remember, Sir John Alexander Macdonald, do some looking up on the man. Okay? Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye for now.